Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cop Council. How are we all? Hopefully, all of you having a good Thursday, wherever you are around the world. Hopefully, everyone is good and all well, of course. And welcome to, of course, it is a bit of a different video. Of course, we are talking specifically about Darwin Núñez, and of course, a lot of opinions have gone around Darwin. I think over the last week or two, but it's been of course, it's been coming from a very longer period in terms of, again, the way Darwin's been playing, and of course, the way, of course, Liverpool have gone forward and Darwin hasn't really progressed, I would say. I think into what everybody expected him to be. I think that's become a growing frustration in that aspect of things. But let me know your guys' thoughts, of course, in the comments as well. If you are watching on the repeat as well, of course, do let us know everything that we do mention in today's video, of course, because I think it is a hefty topic at the moment, because I think it's probably the one position in the squad where everyone's talking about at the minute in terms of the striker position, and where Liverpool could potentially improve on, I think, going forwards, because, of course, looking at it at the present moment in time, Liverpool have currently got Darwin Núñez. They've got Diogo Jota also in that role. But I think more so, since obviously Jota's been out injured and Darwin's had the opportunity, I think, to try and put his stamp on this team and the squad. Under Arne Slot, we've not really seen it as of yet. Certainly, I know of course against Genoa, of course, on Wednesday, there was a few mistakes in that. I don't think there was too much heavy mistakes, by the way, but of course there was. And I think, again, the whole topic of Darwin Núñez and, where his future lies potentially in the future plannings going forward under Arne Slot. Again, I don't know whether or not if, again, everyone's under the same sort of opinion or towards him. Of course, for me, like, we'll talk about it, of course, a bit more and going a bit more further ahead. But I think, of course, for everyone, we'll have different opinions on it. I have many myself, but I think overall, I think Darwin Núñez, the player is there. I think it's plain to see that there is an unbelievable striker in that, in Darwin Núñez. But at the moment, it's not being the best version of Darwin Núñez isn't being portrayed at the minute, and we haven't seen, I don't think, the best of Darwin Núñez, or we've not seen that Benfica Darwin Núñez, I think, since he signed at the football club. And of course, we'll talk a little bit about that in due course anyway. But of course, let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments down below, because I do think it is an interesting topic, because future planning, of course, Liverpool top of the league at the moment, top of the Champions League. It's been really good under Arne Slot, and obviously me speaking about this and going on about like, Liverpool may need to look at, potential replacements and this, that, and the other. Of course, with Liverpool being top of the league, you kind of go like, oh, what the hell do you mean? The fact that Liverpool are top of the league, and you're talking about, oh, Liverpool need this, that, and the other. That's also true, but it's also that same thought process of, again, where can Liverpool improve? And I think striker at the minute is definitely a position going on to the future, could possibly be an area where Liverpool look at as well. But I think overall, certainly towards Darwin Núñez, and taking a look, if I could get the sheet right, there we go. If you take a look at his statistics going from when he signed at Benfica, in this little graph here, in terms of, again, his first season at Benfica, 44 games, 14 goals, 10 assists, which, again, is quite decent considering, again, it is a new team for him as well. But again, very underwhelming numbers, I think, for what they expected. But again, leapfrogged, in terms of, again, 41 games, 34 goals, 4 assists for Darwin Núñez. Of course, that was his breakthrough season, of course, where, again, we even played Liverpool over 2 legs. I think he got, was it 2 goals, I think, over the 2 legs against us as well, which I think, again, I think the overall aggregate score, I think, was 6-3 in the end for Liverpool. But then, of course, Liverpool signed him for 67 million, of course, with add-ons potentially taken up to 85. million, which of course would take over, of course, the club record fee for Virgil van Dijk. But again, 22-23 season, 42 games, 15 goals, 4 assists, which to be fair, in itself, in a pretty poor Liverpool team, I think we would take that. Again, but even when you look at the statistics, again, last season, 54 games, 18 goals, 13 assists. Like when you look at that, that's 31 goal contributions in all competitions. That is very impressive. I think anybody else would agree with that. But again, this season, again, been struggling, I think, a little bit, in terms of 19 games, 3 goals, 2 assists. And I think it's more an overall, I think, topic in terms of, even when you look at Diogo Jota's statistics, when he was starting at the start of the season, I think Jota's got 2 goals, 2 assists, I think, in all competitions. And I think when you do look at Darwin Núñez in particular, and I think one question I think all of us have to ask ourselves, is he an Arne slot number 9? And the question might be no. Again, Darwin Núñez was very much a Jurgen Klopp signing. The data department identified, when we were looking in that position to improve. They identified Christopher Nkunku as being the guy to, of course, Liverpool to go for. Again, Jurgen Klopp made the executive decision then in that sense to go after Darwin Núñez. And of course, I think everyone, me included in that, I very much wanted Darwin Núñez. Because again, watching that up close and personal at Anfield, again in that Champions League game, that for me he was unbelievable that night. And watching him just over the 2 legs for Liverpool, I think everyone could see that the pure talent that was there for Darwin Núñez. And again, I think one of the disadvantages of Darwin is the price tag, unfortunately. Again, when we look at it, £67 million base fee, and then of course the add-ons could potentially, if Liverpool take it up to 85 million, if of course Liverpool win the Premier League, I think in the Champions League, was the big bonuses in that. But again, that's what we will base it off, and in that sense, has it been a great signing? I would say no. Do I think Darwin Núñez has been a good signing for Liverpool? I think I'm more, teetering towards that than I would say he's been an awful signing, because he hasn't been an awful signing. Like, let's just take this into context as well. Like Darwin Núñez, as seen earlier on, Darwin Núñez, for the amount of minutes he's played for Liverpool, statistically wise, again, only the elite strikers that have played for Liverpool have been better than him. I think even Fowler, Suarez, Torres, like Rush, Fowler, again, I think he's in that name. He's in that category of names in terms of, again, the goals and assists. I think it's 4,000 minutes. I think it is. I think Darwin Núñez is just below that. Which, again, when you actually look at that, you'd think, wow, he should be in the conversation probably for being one of the best players, in this Liverpool team at the moment. And again, you would probably think that. But you see people again comparing Darwin Núñez, what were his best assets. And I think in that Benfica team, especially, and on watching him, the best parts you saw out of him was him drifting out left and him, possibly being that last striker. Again, the creativity was behind him in that sense. With Liverpool, it's a bit different, in terms of, again, you've got Luis Diaz on the left, you've got Mohamed Salah on the right. I think Mo Salah, again, it's not what's the correct word? It's not, again, a criticism, but Mo Salah is the heartbeat around Liverpool, isn't he? Again, he is the one that's creating everything at the moment. He's the one who's scoring everything. Like, again, you even look at his statistics this season, Mo Salah's been unbelievable. And I think overall, when you do look at Mo and you look at the goals that he is scoring at the moment, it's unbelievable. It's at an unbelievable rate. And does that take away a little bit from the striker position? I think sure. I think when you look, I think somebody did it earlier on Twitter when they compared again the goal, the goals scored and the goals and assist tally on right wing, left wing, and striker. And I think striker there was only 10 goal contributions, at all. I think obviously the right hand side was obviously the most through Mo. But the left-hand side as well, obviously adding to it. But even this season, you know, I'm just taking a look at it now, 22 games, 16 goals, 12 assists for Mo Salah. Like, that is unbelievable. And that at the moment, I think is, you know, when we look at it statistic-wise, is kind of hurting, you know, the striker, where probably in this style, and you know, when we talk about an Arne Slot number 9, because for me that's something that is a big question mark, certainly towards Darwin Núñez. What, like, who is Arne Slot's number 9? We've not really got that yet. I think in many people's minds, we haven't really got that yet. In terms of an answer, it would be nice if a journalist that ask him what he wants from his number 9s. But even last season, you know, when you got hit, I think it was Jimenez at Vinyls, again, a lot of the play was being played through him. You know, again, he was a very, you know, ball to feet type striker, would kind of soak up you know, pressure, and then of course offload the ball, and then the right wing and left wing would go on to assist or score. That you know, is perfectly sounding as a false 9. You know, Liverpool don't really have a false 9 at the football club. Of course, we've got Diogo Jota who can play there. Of course he can, but we've not got a Bobby Firmino, you know, style player that can kind of do that job. And I think that's probably more of a question of, do Liverpool have to go into the market and look at potentially at a false 9 type striker? Because again, we've seen in the past Darwin Núñez isn't that. You know, he can be, because he can press very high, you know, high intensity. Like, off the ball, Darwin Núñez can do a job, absolutely. But it's more about, again, what it is on the ball that you demand from you know, demand from a 9, you know, against even Girona. I think he had 16 touches throughout the whole game, and that's including kickoffs. Like, that's just not good enough, realistically. Because again, you want him to be, you know, going through the team. We've all said it, the middle of the pitch for Liverpool now under Arne Slot is the heartbeat of the team. You know, we've all said it, the midfield, you know, the midfield 3, whether or not if it's Maka, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Curtis Jones, like, they are the most important people at the moment in the football club, because again, the way we are playing, it's no longer us, you know, using the fullback so much. It's more so the midfield now. It is more the disputer, the distributor, in terms of, again, you know, going forward and so on. Again, that kind of then adds to the 9 position, in terms of, again, the false 9, where they can drop in deep, you know, maybe bring in a defender, and then of course offload, and Liverpool have got space then to attack. And maybe Arne Slot may want that type of 9 more than you know, an out and out number 9 like a Darwin Núñez, which again might cause a bit of problems in that sense. Anyway, but let me know your guys' thoughts in the comments anyway. Of course, what I've said for the first 13 minutes or 14 minutes anyway. But pick up John as well, saying, hi Connor, how much can we get for him realistically? I would say around 30 million in my opinion. Don't think he will turn it around, unfortunately, for John anyway. I think realistically, if we're looking at it, I think Darwin Núñez can still be a top striker for somebody in Europe. Again, Darwin's only 25. You know, he can still turn it around-ish. But it's a big question of who's going to take him. And again, how much? You know, how much are Liverpool going to cut their losses for? Because I think in an ideal world, Liverpool, if the price was right, Liverpool would sell him, and I do think that next season, if he continues on the trajectory that he is so far this season, again, 3 goals, 2 assists in all competitions. But if he did, the second half of the season will be interesting as well, though, whether or not he just changes it, and whether or not he does that, I think is depending, again, in terms of when Diogo Jota is fit, because I personally think once Jota is fit, I think he's in the team. You know, I think we've seen it, how ruthless Arne Slot's already been this season. You know, we've already seen him in terms of Alisson Becker, you know, Ali coming in midweek. There was no kind of like, oh, we'll go on and you know, we'll slowly integrate Ali into into first team football. No, you just dump him straight in, and he's my number one. Similar with the centre backs in the at the beginning of the season, we all thought Jarell Konsa going into the season was Arne Slot's number 2 centre back alongside Virgil van Dijk. He has a poor 45 minutes against Ipswich, brings in Ibu Konate, and it never changed. And even now, we're not seeing Jarell Konsa as third choice centre back neither now. We're now seeing him as fourth choice, or even as a right back, for backup for Trent and Conor Bradley, and that is a sign of ruthlessness, with Arne Slot. And I will be very intrigued to see, maybe even in January or the summer transfer window next season, on how ruthless he's going to be. Of course, it's the first year that he's had with the squad. Again, he's inherited a very, very good squad that he's already said this in previous press conferences and so on. But it will be interesting to see who goes, I think, next summer or even in January. I don't think there will be anybody major who leaves in January. But I think certainly in the summer transfer window, I think we may get a few surprises, I think, on who leaves the football club. And again, that might include Darwin Núñez in that. Again, supposedly Atletico Madrid scouts was there watching him, to be fair, but that could be, of course, a load of nonsense anyway. So it will be interesting. But big up Skulls, we'll hope you're doing well. We need a striker who can do it on European stage. Jury just scored again. Jesus Christ. No. If that happens, then Jesus Christ. I've got him, to be fair, when we talk about that false 9 position, and I've got him here in terms of João Pedro. Now, again, he's been linked the last few days. Of course, I think it was a report in Brazil suggesting that Liverpool and Brighton were going to start negotiations in January, and of course a deal then would be done in the summer transfer window. Now that genuinely wouldn't surprise me if that did happen, because considering the start of the season that João Pedro's actually had, and I think when you look at of course, looking at data, I think can be obviously a bit misleading. Sometimes data is quite good for a lot of things, but I think overall, I think data is good. As I quickly get up João Pedro stats I have saved on my phone. But you look at statistics in particular, like again, João Pedro, when we talk about that false 9 position, 23 years old, 4 goals, 3 assists in 9 games so far in the Premier League. Overall in the season, 9 games, 4 goals, 3 assists. Last season for Brighton, 40 games, 20 goals, 3 assists. When you look at it like that, you go, oh, maybe it is potentially maybe the next step up, similar how you saw like a Diogo Jota at the football club. That might be something that we get again in that aspect of things. I would be very intrigued if that was the case, because I think if we are going to replace Darwin Núñez, which again at the moment I don't think it's set in stone, and I wouldn't say it's set in stone, because I think again Darwin Núñez could change around. 100% he can, and I hope he does as well. I'm going to point that out because I love Darwin Núñez. I think his personality himself, I think I absolutely love him. I love his, again, work rate, tenacity, but he has to start scoring. He has, because that's realistically, that's what we look at a number 9. Off the ball, yeah, sure. Look, he can 100%, be the way he is at the moment and help the team out 100%. But it's just you look back at that Newcastle game where he has 2 massive opportunities to score. Come the end of the season, are we going to look back at that Newcastle game and go, if you'd scored there, Liverpool win the league, or something like that? And we've seen it obviously in previous years where the finest of margins for Liverpool, we've been so close to winning something, just the finest of margins. If we had maybe even if we'd had a Darwin Núñez, maybe in that Paris final against Real Madrid, maybe Liverpool might have actually scored. Or, we've seen it in the league, for example, in 18-19 when we played City and the ball, was what, like 19 millimeters like away from scoring. Like those are the fine margins that we might even speak about at the end of the season. And again, you need your striker to turn up in those situations, and I feel like Darwin Núñez has to do that. Certainly towards the end of the second half of the season, when again the games are going to be getting tougher and tougher, Darwin has to be that for Liverpool. Same with Diogo Jota as well, and it's not even just Darwin. Diogo Jota has to be a lot better as well. But of course, Jota's main problem, I think, as everyone else would agree, is availability, and that's the first quality that you need is availability. And at the moment, Diogo Jota hasn't got that at the present moment in time. But the high kind of thoughts on Pedro, like him, but depends on the price. Well, right now his market value is at £35 million. So knowing Brighton, they're probably going to charge about 100, as we've known from of course, Moises Caicedo in the past. But no, like Liverpool and Brighton have a very good working relationship. Of course, you know, Alexis McAllister deal was done proper. Of course, I think we've, of course, transitioned James Milner transfer for a free. I think that went pretty smooth. And of course, Adam Lallana as well. I think Liverpool pointed in that direction as well. So again, there is a very good working relationship there. But again, when you look at João Pedro, for example, again, overall this season he's been playing in a false 9-10 role for Brighton. Again, is that something that Liverpool needs or wants? Again, we have to know this from Arne Slot himself in terms of again what he particularly wants from a number 9. But big up Gary as well, saying Talia Albin. Núñez needs to be in the battering ram. He's not Firmino. Núñez needs to score, but Slot must use him correctly as well. I think that's the other thing though, as well, Gary, that I would also agree. I think, are we using Darwin to his full strengths? I don't think so. But at the moment as well, the team is doing so good that Liverpool might have to, accommodate someone in that position like a Luis Diaz to get the best, because even against Fulham on the weekend, Darwin Núñez wouldn't be in my starting 11 for the weekend. It would be Luis Diaz right now. In my opinion, it would be Luis Diaz because I think, again, if Jota's not fit and available, I do think at the moment Luis Diaz deserves to start. I think Cody Gakpo deserves to start. And when we've seen that front three of Gakpo, Diaz, and Salah, you go back to that Leverkusen game where, all right, first half it didn't work so well. Second half, Luis Diaz got a hat-trick, for example, as well. So those are the types of games where, again, certainly in a low block as well, that you expect against Fulham, potentially on Saturday. It's going to be very interesting as well, working in tight, close spaces. Again, whether or not Luis Diaz is the guy for that, who knows, as well. But I would start him against Fulham at striker anyway. But yes, the false 9 should have stopped when Bobby left. It should have done, but it kind of did, in many ways, and under Jurgen Klopp it did. We didn't play. I was having this conversation yesterday because we were laughing and joking about, past predictions that we had made. And, for me, and I said this probably about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, I said that Pep Linders would replace Jurgen Klopp as Liverpool manager. Kind of thank God that didn't happen now, looking at hindsight. But you look at, from the Paris final defeat, the start of that season to, what was it, about February time? Like, we were playing Jurgen Klopp football, but Jurgen Klopp football had disappeared. The players that we currently had at the football club, of course, certainly the midfield was gone, and it was. And we kind of changed it, of course, inverting Trent. That Arsenal game was the main game that we changed it in at Anfield, where we inverted Trent, and it kind of become Pep Linders football. We kind of went away from false 9 and that 4-3-3 into the double pivot, and from inverting and of course using that block in terms of, again, the 2 8s and and of course the right back inverting as a 6 and so on as well. That is what we did, and that from then on, I thought maybe Liverpool might have gone after Pep Linders and gone to for him once if you're going to turn around and gone, yeah, you know what, I'm done after this season. Maybe Pep Linders might have stayed on and been the new Liverpool manager. Obviously, now looking at it, I think the false nine can work. It can work for other teams. I think the false nine can still be used in football, but I think you have to have an elite level number 9 as well. Somebody who can do it, there and back. You look at Harry Kane right now. Harry Kane can play the false 9. He can do the stuff going back and forward. But Liverpool need that. Liverpool need to do what they did with Jota. Back in the COVID year. They need to get the player who is there at the minute, but can go an extra layer, because Jota has done that. Jota has taken his game up absolutely. Can João Pedro doing that? Who knows? I like the way João Pedro does, but it's not only him. Again, you could, of course, speak about Matheus Cunha, for example, who's doing really good at Wolves at the minute. There's probably others in Europe as well. That you could probably do about a list of 10 that you could go on to sign. I know Gary's turned around and said, but I'd go and get Vlahovic. I personally wouldn't. I think he's worse than Darwin Núñez by a country mile. I do really think that. I would massively disagree with it. Sorry about that, Gary, but I think Vlahovic is another one where maybe Darwin Núñez, if he went to Italy, would look amazing, and he probably would. But I just think Vlahovic wouldn't be able to do it in the Premier League. I just personally wouldn't think that. Anyway, but John says, do you think contract news before the new year? I really hope so. Unfortunately, I think Trent won't sign a new deal. I think Salah and Van Dijk is a matter of if, not when. Or when, not if, sorry. I said that the wrong way then. I think Van Dijk and Salah, it's just, when are they going to announce it? Trent, I would also agree. He's the one for me that I am like, is it going to happen or not? I'm more 60-40 at the minute. It doesn't happen. But I want to I want to have this self of belief that Trent will resign. But I don't know. It's out of everyone, and of course I know Trent said that he didn't want it dealt out in the public and this, that, and the other. But Trent, for me, there's been no positive news from anyone. No journalist has been positive about it as of much. Again, they've always said they got, even is it yesterday or the day before, you had Melissa Reddy come out and saying that Trent is obsessed with the thought of going to Real Madrid. And I'm like, for me, if you want to leave, if you're not committed, then leave. I don't care who you are. Like, again, we've heard it from Virgil van Dijk, we've heard it from Mo Salah. Both of them have been verbally, consistent in terms of, I want to stay at Liverpool. Van Dijk has been that. Salah as well has also said it, I want to stay at the club. But we've not heard that once from Trent, which is concerning. I think it is concerning at the moment anyway. But again, the fact that you've got Real Madrid, but you've also got a Real Madrid who's got Jude Bellingham there at the present moment in time. You've got obviously Mbappe, Vinny Jr., but I think everybody knows Xabi Alonso is going to be managing there next season. And does Trent want to be managed by Xabi Alonso? Yes. I think he does 100%. I think Trent might have the idea in his head that he can possibly come back to Liverpool. But if he doesn't go to Madrid now, he may never go to Madrid in that sense. And I think that, for me, might be the nail in the coffin for it. But look, if Trent wants to leave on a free, then I think Trent should be prepared for a lot of angry Scousers. That's just my opinion. I think Trent leaving on a free would be horrific for the football club. I truly do believe that as well. Anyway, but Núñez has won more than Kane. To be fair, he has. He looks like he has 100%. But I think Liverpool, if Liverpool are going to go and sign a number 9, they have to go and get the best in quality that they believe in, and whether or not that's João Pedro, Matheus Cunha, maybe they go after Julian Alvarez in a swap deal. Who knows? That might be a realm of possibility. I don't know if that would be ever, but I think for me, the one thing I think for Darwin Núñez, and I'm going to point it out in terms of lack of confidence as well. I think Darwin Núñez, especially last season, there was a period where I think it was the second half of the season last year. Again, he had an absolute terrible time, but the first part of the season, I think it was after that Newcastle game, wasn't it? He went on I think a 2-3 month bounce in terms of, again, his confidence level. And if that can happen again from now until the end of the season, that will be huge, in terms of helping Liverpool going on to win the Premier League and hopefully something else this season as well. But I think overall, I think the big question mark of, does Darwin Núñez have a future at Liverpool? I think it is slowly running out myself, looking at it. But I do also think that there is a player in there, off the ball, again, counter pressing. He's really, really good at that. Of course, I know plenty of people have already said, like, oh, maybe Liverpool need to do what Newcastle did with Joe Linton, and potentially moving back into a box-to-box midfielder. That could be a possibility, but I don't think that's the case. I think Darwin Núñez, for me at least, can definitely be a world-class striker. It's just getting that out of him, and whether or not that's going to be at Liverpool, I think is another question in itself, realistically. Anyway, but I'm going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Anyway, big thank you for everyone for tuning in to tonight's show. I think overall, though, as well, I wouldn't be surprised if next season or in the summer window, Liverpool moved him on. And I will say that because I think, again, you have to be honest in that situation in terms of, again, what Liverpool, I think, expected from Darwin Núñez, we've not seen. And also in terms of the playing ability. And I don't think we've seen Darwin Núñez improve, like in terms of composure and in terms of other bits and pieces, since he signed. I don't think you've seen, again, the goals and assists have gone up, and of course the way he's been has gone up. But I think in terms of, again, that natural born killer, if that makes sense, in front of goal, that hasn't been there. There's been no signs as well of him progressing in that aspect as well. So I think Liverpool will look for a number 9 next season. But again, it's all about, what Arne Slot wants in that way anyway. But I'm going to leave it there. Anyway, for tonight, guys, big thank you for everyone for tuning in. Of course, tomorrow at 9 will be the Fulham match preview show as well. So if you guys want to tune into that, of course, it will be 9 o'clock tomorrow on the YouTube channel anyway. But again, hopefully you guys have enjoyed me talking about Darwin as well. If you'd like us to talk about any other side topics as well, of course, then do let us know in the comment section down below as well. If you are watching the repeat as well, as always, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button as well, guys, because I think we are like 20 something off, I think 1.9. I think at the minute, I'm not too sure, but again, if you could hit the like button, that's the most important thing, anyway, and the subscribe button anyway. But until next time, I'll see you guys tomorrow for the match preview show for Fulham anyway. So I've been Connor from the COP Council. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Ta-ra.